Chapter 3. Somewhere in the countryside. At the door of a boutique hotel, a young girl with an infant on her hip begged hotel guests for food. The guests, many of France's wealthy, turned their heads. The Hotel Estelle was a haven for the elite seeking temporary escape from the war. "Please, madame," the girl begged an older woman who passed by. "My girl," the woman in pearls said, "I do not have anything to give. This war is taking everything I have." In a room upstairs, Giselle brushed her dark hair before a gilded mirror. In the mirror's reflection, Thierry watched Giselle from a bed. He was naked. "And what devious thoughts are you having now?" Giselle asked. Thierry's reflection in French. "He called you songbird," Thierry replied in German. Giselle spun around. "Who?" Giselle asked in German. "Don't play games, Liebling," Thierry said. "The jazz man. Is this assignment becoming too difficult for you?" Giselle rose and walked over to Thierry and gave him a passionate kiss. She ran her fingers lightly over his chest, felt the rough scar of an old bullet hole in his upper shoulder. "I should be asking you that," Giselle continued in German. "David is an asset, nothing more." Thierry relaxed. "Good. The Kaiser battle is a success. The weapon I'm working on is almost ready. The war will end soon. Then we can be free of this nigger jazz music too." There was a light rap on the door. Thierry grabbed his pistol. Amy, Giselle's assistant, entered. A country girl, Amy was in awe of Giselle's beauty and glamour. Amy tipped into the room as she carried a package under her arm. She avoided Thierry's gaze as he watched her place the package on a table. "Your new gown, mademoiselle," Amy said in French. "Very good, Amy," Giselle said. "Please come back shortly and I will try it on." Giselle frowned at Thierry. "Monsieur Rocher is leaving." Amy stole a glance at Thierry. Thierry rolled over to the bed's edge and reached for his clothes on the floor. Blushing, Amy ran from the room. Thierry, still naked, strolled over to Giselle and tried to kiss her. Giselle shrugged free. Thierry glowered and went back to getting dressed. "Keep an eye on that mouse," Thierry said. "They see and hear everything." "Amy is no trouble," Giselle said. "Good day and good week to you, Thierry. Do not forget the town square concert." Thierry frowned. Right. God, yet another insufferable show for the crying peasants. Giselle's wire to David from the Hotel Estelle. "Sergeant Pierce, I hope this note finds you well. I received word from the mayor Nantes that you left him a note inquiring after me. He is a friend, and he says to thank you again for the beautiful concert last night. It lifted his people's spirits. He also sends his regrets about what happened after. I am relieved that you survived the raid. Your friend did as well? I keep hearing about your band's excellence in every town. I am curious about this jazz you play. Thank you for being concerned about me, but I am fine. I am putting this entire experience behind me, and you should do the same. This is war after all. This wish is for your band. Sincerely, Giselle. P.S. You are correct. Giselle is my stage name." In a village square nearby, a priest and an old woman knelt in the mud before a modest stone shrine. A bullet shattered its face as French soldiers chased German soldiers. The old woman did not flinch. Under a cafe's canopy, a small group of villagers looked on helplessly. Women shielded their children's eyes from what promised to be a horrible death for the Madame LaFleur, a mother to many in the town. Father LeClerc had given up trying to convince Madame to abandon the impossible task, enjoined her in replacing stone after stone. A German shoved his rifle's nose into the side of Madame's wrinkled face. "Why do you bother?" the German barked. "God does not hear you." Madame continued her holy mission. "But God sees you," she replied. "He will send his angels to strike down the wicked." On the cafe's rooftop, David looked through his rifle scope into the square below. Soldiers scattered to and fro, a blur of blue and green uniforms. David caught sight of Fox, the sharpest of his squad, as he stealthily overtook a German soldier and slit his throat. David's rifle's crosshairs settled on the German soldier and the old woman. The priest had placed himself between his faithful parishioner and the rifle. The soldier taunted them, then looked uncertain. The old woman clasped her hands and closed her eyes in prayer. David pulled the trigger. A single bullet pierced the temple of the German soldier. Madame and her priest resumed their work as the soldier's lifeless body hit the ground. The villagers poured out of their hiding places. At the roof's edge, David lowered his rifle and peered down. The Germans were in retreat. Villagers and French soldiers alike cheered and waved up to David in gratitude. Back on the ground, David looked out as his men, Jimmy, Fox, and Grenade Tommy, as they rustled German soldiers into trucks as prisoners. He signaled to a runner and handed him a note. The runner saluted and took off at full speed. Villagers huddled in French army-issued blankets and followed David around like little children that were lost. He eventually stopped, turned, and signaled for them to halt. David did his best to avoid making eye contact as he pointed them in the direction of a waiting French soldier. His heart hurt because he did not know what would become of them. David boarded the last truck with his squad. No one looked back as they drove away in the twilight. They passed the restored shrine as it stood guard over the remains of the shattered village. Later that night in his tent, David slept fitfully. A letter he'd been writing was on the ground next to his cot. David's letter to Giselle. "Dear Giselle, I'm glad that you're okay. Thanks for the polite reply. However, I'm sure you'll agree you're being a little brief considering everything that happened. I remember the night very clearly. Just an hour before, our band brought down our house, the Not Opera's house for God's sake. Men in tuxedos cheering, women in evening gowns crying, French flags waving. We were there, a band from Harlem, playing jazz, and these white folks were having a fit. And then I saw you again. Your band was playing pretty good, Songbird. You were too bright for my eyes, so just sparkling. What a beautiful voice you have. Despite your warning, I wasn't going anywhere. Your eyes sparked when I quest. I think you liked that, comfortable, as if we had done that dance before. You took my drink and studied me as you sipped, like you didn't know what to do with me. I took great delight in watching your red lips meet the rim of my glass. You said I had to go. I assumed that you were concerned about the white soldiers there. I wasn't worried about them at all. It's not enough we Negroes can't serve with them as fellow Americans over here, but I'll be damned if we can't be in the same room. I knew they were furious that I was sitting there talking with you, but there was nothing they could do about it. The minute they tried anything in that club, the French folks would take them down. The villagers adore the Black Watch. You said it wasn't the soldiers, but you wanted to say more. Well, now's your chance. So many questions. 1. You're a woman of color over here singing in French. So what's your story? 2. Where did you go this time? We have been touring by train through so many towns, playing at railway stations and public squares. In Colosse, we put on a surprise concert for Major General Kiernan, and he was impressed. We'll be stationed at the rest resort Aix les Bains for a couple of weeks. I want to see you again. In case you're wondering, no, I don't make a habit of writing letters to women, let alone during a war. One would think I'm pretty busy enough trying to stay alive, but here we are. I'm reaching out to you for reasons I don't even know myself. We connected that night. At the club, you graced us with a French soldier's tune. I saw the tears in your eyes as you sang, Après la guerre finie, après les soldats anglais à gauche. Mademoiselle Française pleurait beaucoup, après la guerre finie. After the war ended, after the English soldiers left, Mademoiselle Française cried a lot after the war ended. After this war ends, I will wipe away your tears, and you will see happiness. David.